Have you ever gotten advice from someone? Maybe you went to a seminar, maybe a coach, maybe a professionals, maybe you just saw it on social media, and they were sure the advice they were giving was the best. It was going to solve all the problems. It didn't matter what you had going on. They knew their advice was going to work. But for you, you realized that advice was complete garbage. I had that happen several years ago. We were in the midst of bootstrapping a startup. Like, it was a few friends getting together, making a business come together. We had a vision of what we wanted. We were working every day trying to put it together. And this guy comes in, and he'd had several successes in his career, and he was ready to give back. Well, he comes in and lectures us for an hour and a half on if we just will put a solid business plan together, we actually have plenty of money. The money's just going to flow in. There's always money available. Well, what he was talking about was his entire career he had spent working inside of a billion-dollar company. And so he was talking about innovating inside a billion-dollar company. And for him, his advice was amazing. It's spot on, solved the problem every single time. We were not looking to bring on venture capital. We weren't looking to bring on investors. We were looking to bootstrap this. So we're sitting there staring at each other thinking, who is this guy? What's he talking about? His advice didn't apply. And the reason why his advice didn't apply is businesses have different needs when they're at different stages. So a bootstrap business over here has a very different environment than a billion-dollar company that's looking to create new innovations. That's where we were talking. I had another situation, similar kind of a story, where someone was trying to tell me that I needed to massively grow one of my companies. And I'm looking at this person as they're sitting there yapping about how I needed to grow and scale and scale. And I'm thinking, this person doesn't have a clue. My business was to the size I wanted that business to be at the point. If I were to massively grow like they were advising, it would create all kinds of headaches we weren't prepared to solve and we didn't want to solve. And so our business had gotten to the size we wanted and we didn't want to grow. What we were wanting to do is we were wanting to spin up a whole new division of the company. Their advice was complete garbage because it wasn't the right stage of where my business was at. I'm sure this isn't unique to just me. So many of us will have a situation where, for example, you may have been told by your accountant, you really need to incorporate this new method of accounting. It's amazing. But where your business is at is you may be a startup phase, and all you need to do is kind of keep rough tabs on what money is in that business account right now, whereas putting together an accrual accounting system is not going to solve your issue when you're just looking for a few more customers. That's another classic example where one person is sitting over here and they're thinking all the businesses are in the same category or same level that they're in. And there are several different stages that businesses go through. Everyone's seen the startup phase where you're just hitting the ground running. You're trying to prove that your business is going to work. You're trying to prove that customers want what you offer, that you can do a good job, you can deliver, they will pay you, all those things. That startup, once you get past startup, then the next issue is, okay, I've got some customers. Now you've got to figure out how to get a solid stream of customers. And then you've got to figure out how to keep this business rolling and delivering on what you promise. As you scale up, you have different sets of problems. You now need to figure out, okay, how do I bring a team in? And when you're trying to solve the team issue, your problems are wildly different than that startup person who's just trying to prove that that business would exist if they brought it about. So what stage is your business in right now? Oftentimes, people don't even realize that the stages that they're in shift, which means they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, which means their business stays stuck in that same stage for years. Have you ever thought about what stage you're in? If you haven't taken the time to consider that, I'd invite you to give it some thought. Think about, where am I at as a business owner right now? Where am I sitting as a business? What is that next step I'm trying to accomplish? Where is it I'm trying to get to for my next step? If you don't know that, your business is probably going to stay stagnant or it's going to start slipping backwards. Instead, what you want to do is you want to take and you want to analyze what you're trying to accomplish next. That'll tell you where you're at in those stages. Once you know where you're at in the stages, you need to identify what's the big problem that I'm trying to solve. Solve that problem and you'll move to the next stage. Solving business problems are so much easier when you're actually solving the right problem instead of just doing what a bunch of different people who don't know what stage you're in are trying to tell you what to do. One of the best ways I can give an example of business stages is different sizes of cities. Have you ever been to a super small little town? maybe they don't even have a traffic light. I've been in a ton of those little towns. You'll drive through town, sometimes they don't even have a gas station. The problems that you encounter in a small town like that are wildly different than if you go to a city that has, say, 50,000 people. And a city with 50,000 people has wildly different problems than a city that has 500,000. And the cities with 500,000 usually will have very different problems from cities that have 2, 3, 10 million. So same thing with businesses. When you're in that country town environment, the problems you're going to face are wildly different. Where my dad grew up, we used to go visit all the time. Teeny little community, still only has a couple hundred people living in the town itself. They don't have any kind of police force. They don't have a traffic light. The highway drives right through town, and sometimes the semis don't even slow down. The problems they face, so much different than a big city. Where is your business at? Are you that startup small town? Are you a small size city that has a few problems that are vastly different than that startup town? Or are you to the 10 million city size business and you've got vastly different problems there? Which one is it for you?